Welcome to the Glam Life Podcast, where we empower and inspire beauty professionals to take their careers to the next level. Your host, Victoria, is a certified business coach with over a decade of experience in the beauty industry, helping countless beauty professionals start and grow successful businesses. Now she's sharing her knowledge and expertise with you. Whether you're just starting out in the beauty industry or looking to take your business to new heights, this podcast is for you, covering topics like community, management, branding, and much more. So join us on this journey to build the beauty business of your dreams.
Good morning and welcome to the Glam Life Podcast, where we explore the latest trends and techniques to help you live your best life in your business. I'm Victoria Rocca. You might know me as Victoria Glam if you follow me on Instagram. I am your host at the Glam Life Podcast. I am the owner of the Microblading Institute and Brow Sister PMU products. I am an international beauty business coach and speaker, and I am so excited to talk to you today about something that is super close to home for me, especially this week in particular, because I am actually taking a step back from coaching. Yep. Mic drop, huh? So I am taking a step back from coaching. I'm not saying that I'm quitting coaching or that I'm no longer a coach. I'm simply pausing it for a moment because I really started to kind of endure a little bit of burnout within my business, and it was starting to affect all sectors of my business, right? And I am the queen of balancing home life balance, or else why am I even bothering? So if I can't show up as like the wife and the mom that I want to be, then I'm out. Automatically, I'm out. So if I'm spending all my energy in one area, then I need to figure out how to balance everything. And for right now, that means stepping back from other people's businesses and simply focusing on my own. And some of this has to do with, hustle culture, which I feel like is a very buzzword phrase right now that I want to talk to you about today. But I also want to chat a little bit about just kind of like honoring yourself within your business without sacrificing, customer service or diminishing your passion. Actually, I would argue that we're going to be leaning into passions. One of which for me is motherhood. I feel I've said this so many times over the last, year that I've been publicly speaking and going on podcasts or doing my own podcasts. I say this on my Instagram constantly, how it's just so important to me that I build a family around my business, that I raise a family around my business rather than building a career with the needs of my family kind of being second to that. So one of the things that I'm doing to honor myself and my family is I'm only working half days this summer. So in order to hold myself to that, I only paid for half day of daycare. So when my kids go to daycare this summer, when school's out, they will be off by lunch and I'll pick them up and we're going to go to the pool every afternoon, and I will be unreachable because for 2 months, for 8 weeks this summer, if that is something that we can do together and live together and experience together, and I'm in control of my calendar to be able to set those boundaries, why wouldn't I do it? My kids are only going to be 3 and 5, or this summer they'll be 4 and 5, only this one time. They're only going to be this little and still love mommy and love spending time with mommy this one time. So why would I want to spend all my days being cranky and bitter and burnt out at the end of the day while they're at daycare with some other people when they could be with me so I can work, 4 or 5 hours in the morning and then spend the whole afternoon with my kids, or we could go home and take a nap, or we could go to my mom's and have coffee or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So let's talk a little bit about kind of how that came to be and just kind of dig into it, right? So first, I say first, let's start with just defining what hustle culture is, right? So I think a lot of people have different definitions for that. But for me, hustle culture is this phenomenon that has become very prevalent, I would say, in the recent years, especially since 2020, when everyone was working at home and we really blurred that line between when you're working and when you're not working. Our society kind of has placed more and more value on constant productivity and busyness. And I was telling 2 of my girlfriends this the other day, just because you're busy doesn't mean that you're being productive. You can be very busy. You can fill your calendar from 9 a.m. until 7 p.m. every single day and never actually make any progress in your business. You need to be strategic, not busy. And just because you're being strategic doesn't mean that you should have a full calendar all the time. That is exactly the thing that leads to like just mental tiredness and really burning out on everything. I think it can be motivating at times because you feel like you're getting so much accomplished. But in the end, when you look back, how much have you actually accomplished? So let's talk a little bit about that. Okay. So while this mentality can be really motivating and even energizing sometimes, I would say, like I said, it can really lead to burnout, which is just mental exhaustion. And you start to get a sense of like disconnection from your why, like your original mission. Like, why did I get started on this to begin with? You start to feel very disconnected from that. You also start to get careless. And I don't just mean sloppy in your work, but I mean you literally stop, like you're give a damn broke, right? Like you don't care as much when you're mentally exhausted and burnt out all the time. You're like, oh, I don't give a fuck. If we lose that customer, I really don't care. I'm so tired. I don't care. If you've ever uttered those words to yourself or heard someone say them, that is the biggest red flag for burnout that I've ever seen. Like it's such an obvious one. So how can we avoid falling into this trap of like hustle culture and busyness and mental exhaustion while still running successful businesses and providing really good customer service in general? I think the answer lies in setting boundaries. I think also time blocking is really important. I'm a huge time blocker. And I'm doing it right now, by the way. I have this blocked out on my calendar, an hour to create this podcast. And I think incorporating rest periods into our daily routine are important too. Like you hear this, we've made fun of Spain for this forever, right? Like they take siesta every day from, I don't know what time it is, like 1 to 3 or something like that. Everything's closed and everyone goes home to take a nap. And Americans have traditionally always thought that was so funny. It's been the butt of many jokes like, well, they need a nap. Yeah, I think we all do. I would like a siesta, please. I think we all need one. So boundaries, I think, are essential for anyone who's looking to maintain like a healthy work-life balance. If you actually are finding that you are running into burnout or that you're headed that way, this should be kind of your first step. You have to start creating boundaries, setting clear limits around when and how you're working. Can help you avoid burnout or even dial some of it back, ensuring that you have time for other things in your life because your whole life is not your business. I've said that before, right? You are not a business. You are a business owner, but you are not a business. So you have to have time for other things in your life, like relationships, friendships, your family, your core family, the family that you create, the family that you came from. You have to have hobbies. You have to have self-care. However you fill up your cup, you need to have time for that. So this could look like setting specific working hours. This could look like creating a dedicated workspace and not doing any work when you're not in that space. It could look like saying no to projects or clients that don't really align with your values, right? We talked about that a couple weeks ago when I was like, say no to the shiny stuff. Don't get so distracted that you stray from your core mission because something looks interesting. If it doesn't align with your original values or why in your business, then it doesn't really serve your business. And I think sometimes in the pursuit of impatience, like, oh, my original course, my original goals, my original values are not being served at the moment, or I haven't reached those goals yet, I can go on this like side quest and try to supplement my gains. And actually what you're doing is just taking away even more from the main mission. So I'm not into it. I say create that strong sense of boundary right then and there. Time blocking is a way that I really protect my energy. So time blocking is a really powerful tool, honestly, for managing your time and your energy. So breaking your day into specific chunks of time for different tasks or different like activities or meetings or whatever, you can maximize your productivity and honestly minimize distractions. Because I don't know about you, maybe this is just how my brain works, but when I'm looking at the calendar and I see I only have an hour for this podcast, I just sent my entire team like a group-wide message that said, hey, you guys, I'm going to be unreachable for the next hour. I'm putting my phone on Do Not Disturb so I can go and record this week's podcast. And I know that I only have an hour to do it. So I'm not going to be answering my phone. I'm not going to be, roaming around the house or around the office. I'm not going to be piddling with things. I'm not answering emails. I'm not stopping or taking breaks. I only have an hour to get this done. So I'm just going to get here and visit with you guys. It's your hour on my calendar. And then after that, I have, something else right after this time blocked out for, actually, I'm meeting with my, I'm meeting with my bookkeeper today. It's okay. Angela's super cool. But yeah, so because it's time blocked, my brain automatically says, like, I must honor this. If it's on the calendar, it's real. My friend Sheila says that all the time. If it's not on the calendar, it's not real. So I put it on the calendar, and you can't move it. You can't move it, because once it's on the calendar, that's a wrap. By the way, I do this with vacations. So at the end of December, I go through all the next 12 months and I put down non-refundable deposits on dates that I know are available for my husband and for my children for our winter break when we go skiing, which is usually Valentine's Day, our beach trip, which is usually around the 4th of July, our anniversary trip, which is usually camping in the mountains, but this year we will be in London because I'm speaking at the UK PMU conference. So we're going to go to that conference, and then our anniversary is like 3 days later. So we're going, I think, to the Swiss Alps in Germany, but it's already done. So it doesn't matter what shiny stuff comes along later. I can't push that off and not make this rest time or this family time. It's already on the calendar, and it's non-refundable. So I can't move it, and I don't want to. And I don't ever want to feel pressured to either. It's very empowering for me to say, sorry, it's been on the calendar for a year. We already paid for it. Like, we're going. I appreciate that that's the time you have available for me, but I don't have that time available for you because that time has been allotted to my family. That's so important to me. So time blocking, I am a huge proponent of. Is that the right word? A huge promoter of, I don't know, whatever the word is, that's what I am. So, I mean, I do this for everything. I even have like checking email, working on project, correspondence. I have it all blocked out. So there's certain times when I know that I'm expected to be doing these things, right down to engaging on social media. Rest periods, I would say, are equally important, and they're not the same thing. So rest periods are equally important for like overall well-being, I would say, but they're important in your business as well. So in a world that seems almost like designed for constant activity and output, where it seems like, at least since 2020, when everybody started working from home, it seems like you are expected to be available 24/7. 20 years ago, that wasn't true, right? When we were growing up, I'm 35, I'm 34, I'll be 35 this year. When we were growing up, that wasn't the case. Like, if you left your house, that was it. Like, I will talk to you tonight when you get home. Or when you left work, that's it. I'll see you tomorrow when you get to work. Like, that was it. Now, clients reach out to you via DM at 10 p.m., don't they? Hey, I need a reschedule for tomorrow. Bitch, I'm sleeping. Or a hot lead lands in your inbox and you are so tempted to answer them at 7 p.m. Don't. Stop it. Stop. You have to rest. You have to turn your brain off at some point. It's so important. And listen, during those rest periods, yeah, you could go and like take short walks, practice mindfulness, meditation, simply unplug from technology, put your phone on do not disturb, whatever. It's fine to also be a glutton. That's fine. If you want to, eat spicy munchies and binge Gilmore Girls for 4 hours on Netflix before you fall asleep, that's fine. If that's how you recharge your battery. If you want to take an hour-long bath at night and tell everyone to get out of your bathroom and lock the door, that's fine. Resting and time blocking are two different things. So blocking an hour out just for like resting or whatever, it's not necessarily the same thing. It's not necessarily as effective. Like a lunch break is not resting, I think is what I'm trying to tell you. It's whatever it looks like for you. Some people like to go on like long hikes in nature. Some people like to say, hey, I'm unplugged from 5 p.m. on Friday until 9 a.m. on Monday. And I think over the last couple of years, we've started to kind of give that a little bit of like disdain. I'm into it. Do it. I say do it. And if you're going on vacation, be on vacation. Don't take calls. Don't answer emails. Be on vacation. I dare you. I fucking dare you. So ballsy to actually be disconnected. But I think that you'll see that people who are actually your ideal client, which I know I've spoken about so much, I think that you'll see that they're still there waiting for you when you get back. Because if they were meant to be your client, if you guys are truly aligned, if they really match your ideal client, if they really match your core mission, then they will also align with your work schedule. And I don't think that's an outrageous thing to ask for either. Clients who actually are available when you're available, I don't think that's outrageous. I think it's also important to recognize the role that like masculine and feminine energy kind of play in our lives and businesses. I've recently been introduced to this concept. Go and follow my friend Laura Chenery, Chenery. she's from the UK. She is amazing at this. I didn't understand what the hell she was talking about. And I've spent like a year trying to figure it out, I would say. But I'm getting it. I'm slowly getting it. So she goes into a lot of human design, which I think I will be talking about maybe in our next podcast, talking about human design, because it's pretty interesting. And as I'm kind of learning about it, I'm just going to go ahead and teach you about it too, which is actually part of my human design, believe it or not, projectors, but whatever. So when she talks about like the role of masculine and feminine energy, masculine energy is often associated with things like action, productivity, achievement. Feminine energy is more focused on rest, reflection, creativity. Both are important for like a balanced, fulfilling life, and also for making strides in your business and for growing and biggering and bettering the business and just really making a stable business sustainable. I think it's also important to honor both of them in order to avoid burnout and to maximize like your potential, your efficiency. I think we'll get into that a little bit next week, but we'll go deeper into it. But yeah, if you're interested in that, go and follow Laura Shinnery. She speaks about this often, and it's honestly, I don't use this phrase often, but I would say, life-changing. It actually inspired my rest period that I'm about to be taking. It inspired my summer of suns that I'll be taking. And the more that I learned about my own human design, which, like I said, I'll be talking about more in my next podcast, the more that I realized, oh, wait, all of this actually really aligns with me and my business and why I'm feeling burnout and why I'm tired. So those rest periods and then balancing that masculine and feminine energy achievements with restfulness. So important. So important. So basically, to summarize, I would say by setting boundaries, time blocking, rest periods, balancing everything, we can avoid like the pitfalls of kind of what we call hustle culture, and really just making ourselves too available and really pouring more out of our cup than we get poured into it. And we can honor ourselves within our businesses without sacrificing our passion for our business and our passion for our customers. So thank you for tuning in to this week's very interesting, much more like energy connected podcast, I would say. And if you're into that and you'd like to continue this conversation, yes, follow Laura Shinnery, but also you can find me over on Instagram at victoria.glam, and you can DM me anytime, where I am more than happy to discuss hustle culture, boundary settings, and how to honor yourself within your business. I will see you next week. Bye.